never wanted to be in the music business, which is crazy. Now that being said, my music journey in the music business started with running Russell. Because even way before Rapper's Delight, before the first rap record ever made, Russell was managing Curtis Blow and Houdini and Jimmy Spice. Russell was doing what the music business is doing now, just on the streets of New York City. But the whole, my whole involvement was just all about creativity and self-expression. You know, hip hop wasn't just DJing and rapping. It was graffiti, it was breakdancing and all that. So for me, the thing that planted the seed, the thing that connected me to the whole bigger purpose was 1970s rock radio. When you go back to the 70s and you turn the radio on, it wasn't segregated, it wasn't separated. Now, I would hear Al Green, I would hear Sly and the Family Stone and James Brown, but you also would hear Joni Mitchell and Janis Joplin, Harry Chapin. So that being said, it was 70s rock radio that caught my attention of music because Al Green, Marvin Gaye, and Aretha Franklin was my mother and father's music, because they were still cool. You know, I would see my father hug my mother. Yeah, what is he doing to mommy? So I didn't have a music that was part of my younger childhood. But the reason why rock and folk rock was so important to me, Dylan and Joni Mitchell and John Fogerty, they rhymed about social issues. And they use words like government and presidents. So those were things I was learning in social studies and history in elementary school. It wasn't until, and then hearing Harry Chapin and Jim Croce, the great story to even the Beatles. In the town where I was born, lived a man who sailed to sea. So those things were attracted to me as a kid, you know what I'm saying? Sing-songy folk and the so-called, what's called classic rock now. But it wasn't until hip-hop came over the bridge from the Bronx, it wasn't showbiz for me, or money and fortune and fame. For me, it was like, oh shoot, you could tell stories over music about who you are, just like you know, the rock guys do, because I couldn't sing. And then I also realized a lot of the records that we sampled and used to rap over were the records on the radio. So it created, my imagination created this kid called the King of Rock. I had no idea my rock and roll dream was going to come true. But it was all about expressing the totality of all of those things that was part of my life. Run DMC came together when the early rap guys, Grandmaster Flash, Sugar Hill Gang, Soul Sonic Force, you know, Message, Planet Rock rappers delight. Once hip-hop got on records, everybody wanted to make records. Run was already in the hip-hop business at 12 before records was made. So his brother Russell said, Joey, I'm gonna let you, he was persistent, let me make a record. But Russell said, Joey, you can make a record when you graduate from high school. So Run was, okay, I remember that. It was basically, show me a diploma and I'll let you make a record. Because look, you put the record on, it's not a hit, you gotta have something to fall back on. So Run knew he was gonna make a record. I was just his friend. We just had basketball in common. But then he discovered I was writing those rhymes that I talked about earlier. He saw my rhymes, he was like, Darryl, you wrote this? He was like, I want you to be, we're gonna form a group, we're gonna start Run DMC. So in 1983, we recorded our first demo. In 84, we released our first single. And I think what was good about us is Run DMC reflected something people in the ghetto could respect, and some people in the ghetto could relate to, and some people in Beverly Hills could relate to. So we broke down all the stereotypical class titles that was given to people, and we just talked about everything everyone experienced, and that was a game changer. First single and on. 100%. 100% shock. I mean, when I think back at it, sitting here now, my thing was, yo, I'm 57 now. So I'm gonna be 57 telling my son and my grandkids, you know, 37 years ago, I had a record for one summer. I didn't know it was gonna last a lifetime. Definitely shocked. And, you know, MTV was a big part of that too, because MTV put the little thing that we were doing in the streets of New York in everybody's living room, globally. So it definitely was a shock.